14 of the last 24 Super Bowls have featured either the Chiefs or the Patriots. There's a shocker. I think, that issue of Chiefs fatigue, somebody was asking me about that earlier today. I think it is a combination of Patriots-Chiefs fatigue. I think it's fatigue that there's too few teams that run the sport. And in theory, with a salary cap and free agency and a draft system that allows the good teams to have dibs or the bad teams to have dibs over the good teams, you should win it once every 32 years. And that's clearly not what's happening. There's a cluster of teams that have figured out, they've cracked the code on how to be highly successful, and they keep coming back around. And what's the NFL going to do about it?
Yeah.
There's nothing more you can do to help the lesser teams.
It's as even as it can be, right? Yeah. It's as even as it can be. In some businesses, even when it's made even, people are greater at it than others. So just like we're seeing. And these two teams, I think, just, emphasize that even more. They do things that we talk about, you bring up all the time. You talked about this last week at one point, too. This is like the modern day, the way the NFL is, you got to be able to, draft and develop. And both these teams, look at it. I mean, there's a free agent here or there, but for the most part, the steak and potatoes of the team is draft players. So that's where they've cracked the code. One, they understand how to balance the cap. They obviously have ownership and people at high positions that understand what good coaches are. And then both of these organizations seems like they're on the same page between coach and player, and they know what they like as players, and they have a very, very keen, talented eye, for spotting talent.
All the way back to 2017 when the Bills were sitting there with the 10th overall pick, and the Chiefs realized Mahomes is the answer. And the Chiefs weren't, and we talk about this a lot, our team's content with being just good enough. The Chiefs easily could have said, we got Alex Smith.
Yeah.
We're in the playoffs every year.
Right.
We're just good enough, and that's good enough. And it wasn't. So they made the move to get Mahomes. They jumped the Saints, who were going to take him. They were going to take him. Now, it was either him or Lattimore. No.
They
were going to take
Mahomes. We know that.
It's not debatable. They jumped to 10 to keep the Cardinals from getting Mahomes.
Right.
Because they thought the Cardinals would take him. But they made that move. It was a bold move, and it worked.
Yeah.
Top 10 quarterback, how many of them actually become franchise guys? 1 out of 5?
Probably somewhere in that range.
And they knew Mahomes was going to be the guy, and they hit on it. Yeah. Who knows what he would have been anywhere else. He is who he is, in part because of who he is, in part because of having Andy Reid and the coaching staff that Andy Reid's had.
All-time great already. We know that. Not debatable. Through 7 years is the clutchest quarterback in the history of football. I mean, I know Tom Brady's the GOAT and the man, but he didn't do this. It wasn't 5 out of 6 Super Bowls. It wasn't AFC Championship the years he didn't go. It wasn't carry the team from the word get-go, like, hey, it's your first game ever as a starter. We need 350 and 3 touchdowns. They did that and then flipped into hey, he's so good, let's spread the wealth out through the rest of the team, and he'll cover some of the holes on the offense. Yeah, we don't need Tyreek Hill. Let's make the defense better. Mahomes is awesome. Right, so that's where he's special that way. I got a question on the pod today. I'd like to hear you talk about this. Right, if Lamar or Burrow or Josh Allen got drafted to the Chiefs instead, right? They asked, would it be the exact reversal? And I said, no, Mahomes is great. Mahomes is the best one of the group. He's that. I said, those guys, I'll say they probably win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. I don't know if I'm sitting here going they're going to win 4 out of 6 years and beat it at 5 out of 6 years. Mahomes is special. And I think you and I both recognize that. What do you feel about that?
Where would Mahomes be if he wasn't on the Chiefs?
Yeah, I know, right? Because you'd be like, if he's
that's a big part of it.
You're right. He might be on the Ravens screwing the Chiefs he's doing the other way around now.
If he doesn't exist.
I know. I almost went down that wormhole of that, but I was like, wait, this is a podcast. Let's just answer the damn question before I go into too many wormholes there.
There's something about Mahomes that, number one, is extremely rare, one of one.
Yep.
And number two, there's no way to know with certainty that he's going to be that guy until he is that guy.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Right.
And so I think that we just had to find out. And when the next Mahomes rolls around, we'll just find out when he lands in the NFL, and all of a sudden he's just a little bit faster. He processes. The processing is the key. He processes faster than anyone else. He knows how to run the play that's called. He knows how to make a play on the fly if the play that's called doesn't work. He knows when to zig, when to zag. You rarely see him get tracked down. You rarely see him kept from doing what he's trying to do. And he's still, in the early part of his prime.
Right.
And he's still got, 7-8 more years of
At
high
least.
physical function, and he'll know, like Brady late in his career, how to color within the lines that are available to him. He'll adjust his mentality accordingly, and he'll play as long as he wants to play.
Yeah.
We got all week to talk about this, but I'm fascinated by what's next for the Chiefs if they win this. Not that anybody's going to walk away, but we reset to 0-0 across the board. I guess they just go try to win 4 in a row. Until he catches and passes Tom Brady, there's nothing to talk about. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And the only conversation would be at some point down the road, if he has won 7 and is going for 8, all right, does he walk away afterward, or does he stretch the rubber band as far as he can?
Right.
We never thought anybody would catch Brady.
No.
And here he is in position to get,
for the first time ever,
more than halfway there.
He's kind of can put himself here. If he wins this one, you got to go, oh, he's got a chance here. We'll see.
And but for the Brady loss, it would be 6-4 right now, and he'd be 1 away.
Right.
That's a hell of a 2-game swing in Super Bowl 55.
No doubt about that. Or you can go into what would have happened if they didn't blow that 21-3 lead against the Bengals, and they did get to the Super Bowl that year and played that Rams team. Would they have found a way to win?
Or win the coin toss against Brady in 2018 and go down the field and win it. I mean, still, the worst-case scenario for the Chiefs under Patrick Mahomes through 7 seasons is losing in overtime of the AFC Championship.
They're not going to get exhausted. I know that. I just don't feel like they're that way with this crew. First off, they enjoy it. They have fun while they're doing it. That's where we've talked about so much the difference between them and the Patriots. Where on to Cincinnati, be like a robot. Don't talk to the media. We're so detailed. The Chiefs are a little different. The Chiefs, as we've had fun with it. Oh, Taylor Swift, whoever else, media, paparazzi, come on, we love it all, right? So they've embraced that aspect of it to where I don't get the sense it's a heavy grind, a heavy weight on them, maybe like it was sometimes with the Patriots or other great teams I've seen. And that's where I think they're different. And Mahomes and Andy are the big reasons why they're like that.
That's an excellent point, because you can't just have fun 2 days out of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
The parade, 3. The day you win, at the party afterward, the parade, and when you get your rings.
The ring ceremony.
You got to have fun more than 3 days out of the year.
Yep.
And it wears on you, and it gets to a point where it's not sustainable.
Right.
It got to the point where it wasn't sustainable for Tom Brady, right? So this is sustainable. This is fun.
Yeah.
They love this. As long as Mahomes is there, they can capture that vibe. He'll influence the others around him. And I think they're at the phase where, too, they need to be swapping out older players for not just young players like we always do, but veterans who haven't won a ring.
Yeah, that are hungry.
Or who want theirs, and it's an extra kick in the ass for the team. Like DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Never been to a Super Bowl.
Right.
Now he's getting there, and now he might win one.
Yeah, yep. I could see that. And then, if they win this year, and would I be shocked if they won this year and Travis Kelce said, see you later, like, I'm done, I'm out of here, I've won 4 Super Bowls, I'm out of here? No, I would not.
He's going to make more money not playing football than he can make playing football. He's got his hands in a bunch of different entertainment venues. His podcast is paying him a hell of a lot more than he's making playing football. He's producing films. He's starring in TV series. His football career is an impediment to his life's work, as Chuck Noll always called it. Whatever you did after retiring from football is your life's work. His life's work is pulling him. And I remember when he signed that new contract, he said 2 more years. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it won't surprise me at all if he calls it quits. What more can you do? 3 times up and down the mountain. What more can you do? The argument that Giselle made to Tom Brady after he got to 6.
Yeah.
I think even after he got to 5, that's when it started.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
When he did the 28-3 comeback after being suspended 4 games, we argued he should take the Lombardi Trophy and make the longest yard move and say, put this in your trophy case to the commissioner and just walk off into the sunset and hope he doesn't get shot.
Yeah.
And that would have been the perfect ending.
Yeah.
But he kept going, obviously, and we all know that had some,
some repercussions to it.
Consequences.
Right, exactly.
But I could see, I think Kelsey's got a better sense of when to walk away. And I think I won't be surprised. I haven't heard anything.
No.
Not trying to start anything.
Yep.
But I won't be surprised if he walks away if they win.
No, definitely not. And to your point, too, and I know we're going to maybe close out no, not yet. We're good. I thought we were going to close out the segment here. Is that you said to start, right? Eagles are probably better than they were 2 years ago. Chiefs are probably less than where they were 2 years ago in this matchup. It's, I think, definitely the lesser Chiefs team of the last 3 Super Bowls in a row. And, yeah, I think they're in a spot where they might have to look to refurbish the team in certain areas, whether it's hungry veteran guys who want to get their first ring or the young route once again. But, they're kind of getting in an interesting spot here of this dynasty. And when do you start to switch things over like we saw the Patriots do to start the second part of their dynasty, really?
Yeah, draft, develop, and get free agents in a strategic way that is aimed at filling a gap in the roster and also ensuring that the locker room doesn't become complacent.
Right.
That's the old Terry Bradshaw thing. They'd win a Super Bowl and he'd go into a funk because what do I do next? The thing I just did? I already did it. People look for new challenges. That's what's so special about Mahomes. Now, it helps that he's got that 7 out there.
Yeah,
that's what Brady compiled, pulling him. Once he gets past 7, who knows? Maybe by then I'm just going to get as many as I can. Maybe by then he decides he's had enough. Who knows? But that's still years out. But it may not be that many years out. I didn't expect him to be at 3 at this point of his career, and he could already have more, and he could end up with 4 6 days from now. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.